And so, what I find is that business owners and, executives are thinking, maybe I do need to do something different. I've got fabulous employees, contractors, consultants, whatever they are. I hired them because they're good. Let's let them do what they're good at.
That's it. That's the whole key. And sometimes we all I had to lose everything to figure out what my problem was. Right. Welcome to the Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help home service pros cut through the noise, sharpen their business tools, and reclaim the profit, freedom, and impact they've been missing. I'm your host, Richard Walsh, Profit Freedom Coach, and I'm here to help you stop grinding and start growing. Let's sharpen the spear. And we are back on SDS, Sharpen the Spear podcast, with another incredible guest. I've got Deb Krier with us, and I'm excited for today because out of 100, and this will be episode 133. And out of 133 episodes, I've never had this topic or a guest who's in this whole arena. And that's all I'm going to say about it because, I never like to spoil it. So, but Deb, as we always do on SDS, no one knows Deb better than Deb. So Deb, give us this incredible backstory, bring us up to speed, and we're going to get into the conversation.
Well, I am unique and I am special, and that's been part of my journey. But first and foremost, thank you for your service. I always want to acknowledge that, especially Marines. Holy schmoly. But yeah, it does take a special breed of person, right? And so thank you for everything that you are doing to help everyone now. And your podcast is great. I'm very honored to be a guest on it. So my story begins, I have my own marketing and PR firm. I started it over 20 years ago, called Wise Women Communications. Just goes merrily along, right? It is a virtual company. We were virtual before a lot of other companies were virtual, but it is just a great experience, and I love every minute of it. But 10 years ago this month, 10 years is actually a magic number, right? 10 years ago this month, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I remember I looked at the doctors, some point, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't have time for this. And they initially said I had stage 0 breast cancer, which is, we don't worry about it. We just kind of watch it. We're not too concerned. I didn't even get an oncologist. And finally, several steps and several months down the road, it was determined that it was much more serious. My ultimate diagnosis is stage 4 triple positive metastatic breast cancer, which means it had spread. And stage 4 is not considered curable. Now, it could go away and it might never raise its ugly, nasty head again. And I have gone 10 years with absolutely nothing from it. And that's, that is one of those magic numbers. But along the way, I developed catastrophic complications. Like I said, I'm special. One of them was something that at that point in time, my doctors researched, and I was the only person in the world that ever survived it. So I'm in medical journals, I'm, like all this stuff, but it was my care team, right? Who was, who we want to give credit for. But, I did just kind of go merrily along. Now, many years ago, I worked for the American Cancer Society, and I worked for an oncologist. So I know just enough about all this to be dangerous. I see those words and I'm like, but I chose to do the traditional route of treatment. I was going to do chemo, and then surgery and radiation. And the chemo was what about got me. The first treatment put me into septic shock. And my husband was told 3 different times that I would not survive. I was in the hospital for 7 weeks. And just, right. Came, obviously got better. And kind of put my life back together. When I did have my surgery, I got a complication from that my surgeon had never seen. Right. Special. But I just kept going. Along the way, I developed basal cell carcinoma, which that always sounds really horrible. It's your basic garden variety skin cancer. And it comes from the fact that I'm a Colorado native. that freckled, red hair, and never knew what sunscreen was, right? And so that was easy to treat. Obviously, something we watch a lot now. But and then 2 years ago, I developed thyroid cancer, and it is a totally separate cancer. So I've had 3 different cancers in 10 years. But along the way, my business coach, and I know how important you think business coaches are, my business coach told me that I didn't go through all of this without using it to help others. And so, I pushed back. I was like, no, do not want to be cancer girl. But she kept insisting. And so I finally said, okay. And so we launched Trying Not to Die.live about 3.5 years ago. And it's all about helping those who are on a cancer journey, whether they have cancer themselves or they know someone who does. And so it's actually a lot of fun. It's kind of weird to say it's fun, but it's very gratifying. And then earlier this year, we launched a business to be a strategic advisor for executives who are dealing with cancer. Because they're told, hey, Richard, this is what's going on, and you're like, no, I got a business I have to run. Sorry. And business owners and executives have totally different. Well, first of all, they have different mentalities when they're dealing with cancer, and they have so many other things that they're having to deal with. I don't want to diminish anybody who's on this journey, but it is more of a challenge for an executive or a CEO, business owner. So that's where I decided to take training. I'm a certified integrative cancer coach. I also am certified in grief counseling, because this is very much a grief process. But more importantly, I'm certified as a happiness coach. And so it's been a wild and crazy journey. Holy schmoly.
Yeah, there's a lot to that, which is the fascinating thing is, like, I love that you persevered, you got through this, been 10 years, all this stuff is really great. But I actually really love that you kind of, I'm almost say, fell into this niche on the executive level and coaching, because there is a need for that. Right. And it's just, and I love it because obviously I help businesses, right? I coach business, and I want to get them out of that owner prison. Where the business isn't actually dependent on them. Right. And even at the higher levels, you get CEOs, C-suite guys, executives who are still, they're in it. They're in it too much.
Right.
And they kind of, whether it's, we want to call it micromanaging or whatever. And I love that you can get and help these people navigate. And what I like to talk about at first is, like, do they have kind of that awakening, like, wow, like, I've been doing it that way, then I have this, I get cancer or whatever it might be. And, like, maybe that's not so important.
Okay. They do. And it is definitely, and it doesn't matter, from what I have found, what level, what stage, what type, any of that. When you're told you have cancer, you think, well, crud. And lots worse words, right? Yeah. But it does make you rethink your priorities. Is your business as important as you have made it? And I love your book. I'm going to have to read your book, because it very much ties into my philosophy that your business should not be your prison. You shouldn't be doing it, especially if you're thinking, I got to do this again. And if you've lost your passion for it, I mean, that's really the thing, right? And so, what I find is that business owners and, executives are thinking, maybe I do need to do something different. I've got fabulous employees, contractors, consultants, whatever they are. I hired them because they're good. Let's let them do what they're good at.
That's it. That's the whole key. And sometimes we all I had to lose everything to figure out what my problem was. Right. It's not cancer, but it's like, it's being destitute. It's like, kind of like, oh, right. You have nothing and you have a wife and 6 kids. But that ability to learn and adapt to that and become like, okay, well, I understood my identity was my business. It was owned by me. I had to do everything. It was all me. And then then in me to shift,
Mm-hmm.
right, and start going, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to build a business. I used to tell people, like, my initial goal is, it wasn't very scientific, it wasn't very business,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not, you don't have to MBA to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I just said, okay, if my wife calls me and needs me to come home,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to be there in 15
Right.
minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I go, that
Mm-hmm.
was my litmus test.
Mm-hmm.
I go,
Right.
now
Mm-hmm.
from there, now how do I do that? And I
Mm-hmm.
just engineered
Mm-hmm.
a business
Mm-hmm.
that could do that. And that
Right.
just kept, growing on itself,
Mm-hmm.
and I could do it again and
Mm-hmm.
help others do it. And it's really
Mm-hmm.
great.
Right. Or if there's a soccer game that you need to go to or whatever, and it really doesn't matter male or female, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, we all get caught up in I have to do my job. I have to be doing this. And, it's funny. I had a conversation with somebody during COVID who was, truly kind of one of those micromanagers and poor little micromanagers during COVID. Their little heads exploded because they couldn't reach out and touch their employees, right? And this person was saying it was so difficult for him to not be where his employees were. He did not like virtual. He didn't like any of that. And why? And he said, well, I'm not sure I trust them to get the work done. And I said, well, okay, let's talk about this a little bit more. Did you trust them while they were in the office? And I said, and if that answer is no, that's a totally different problem and they shouldn't be there, right? But if that answer was yes, and they are working remotely and they're getting the work done, what's the problem? And of course, he realized he was the problem. And I think, as bad as COVID was, it really made us realize that we can be flexible. We can, it's the things that we thought were really important, maybe not so much. And it was definitely that way with me with getting cancer. I continued to work the entire time. For one thing, it gave my brain something to be thinking about. And I tell people, hospitals and doctors' offices have really good Wi-Fi. There were times, like there was one time where I was in the hospital for 7 days. I developed sepsis, and so I needed to go in for IV antibiotics. Nobody knew. Nobody knew that I had been in, because I just kept working. I mean, aside from needing an IV all the time, I was perfectly fine. And so I just kept working. But, there are other people who, by choice or, maybe they are forced into it, have to take a break while they're dealing with a cancer diagnosis. And so then you really have to think about, how are we going to do that?
Yeah, it's, always comes back to, a lot of people begin a business because they're good at something.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They have a skill, they have a trade, whatever it is, and that becomes a business. Then they start getting hired, like me. In the beginning, I thought being a business owner was about making money.
Right.
Only.
Right. Because you had bills you had to pay.
Well, yeah, and I was making a lot of money. I go, well, this is a piece of cake.
This is fun.
This is great. I love this. Look, everyone thinks I'm amazing. And you forget about the business part.
Right.
Okay. The running the everyday and the invoicing.
The hiring, the firing, the paying the bills.
Exactly. All this stuff. And then, so I love getting the guys kind of early to start them thinking about this. That's why it's great to have you on as a guest, because you show an absolute need. Okay. I'm like just trying to help them. Like I'm just trying to save their family.
Right.
So you can be around and do all this stuff.
You can go to soccer and be home with your wife.
Right. You can do all this stuff, but it's so important if we can focus on that. It should always be that way. I was on a podcast the other day and I was telling somebody, I go, we all know that guy or girl who's got the unbelievable business. And he's got the nice car. He's always golfing. He's going to lunch with his wife. He's doing this stuff. You see him at church. You're like, dude, when do you work? You got all this together. You got the night. He's like, well, that's the guy. We all know.
Right.
I want to be him when I grow up.
Yes. Yeah. And AI is making some of that a little bit easier. Virtual assistants obviously have done amazing. Right. I have a podcast myself, and my producer is a VA. Never met her in person. She lives in New Jersey. And I've worked with her for 5 years. It's phenomenal what she does.
Yep. I agree. It's like you said with the COVID stuff too. Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff because that, but we learned a lot in
Right.
all kinds of guys. I could spend a whole show on that, but the whole thing is the resilience aspect you talked about, like the pivoting, making this thing work. And I was very kind of out front, like when this was first hitting, I'm like, no, we need to press into businesses. And I was talking to the guys, I don't think it's time to go, no, businesses need our help more than ever right now. Like they need a coach, they need someone, because no one's been through this.
Right.
But you've got to have that coach, that sounding board, someone who's not emotionally attached to you.
Right.
Who can make real decisions and help you make those to move forward, So it was a very interesting time. And now take that and do the cancer, a medical diagnosis, something like that on top of that. And now you got like what are you to do?
Right. And the thing with it being a high level performer person is they don't like to A, ask for help, B, admit they need help. And more importantly, they think if they do that, they're going to lose clients, customers, respect, whatever all those things are, and so they don't tell. And I mean, obviously it's everybody's personal choice as to what they tell, what they don't tell, who they tell. I mean, all those things. But I tell people, the people that you work with and work for are not stupid. If you all of a sudden don't look good and are coming in late every day, if you don't tell them why, they're going to make it up. And people make up the worst story, right? It's, oh, he's been out drinking every night, right? And all sorts of, and so people figure it out. And so what I tell people is you need to control that narrative. Now, you might not say much, right? But if you say, I've got a medical situation, here's, I'll be gone every day at 3 or whatever. I mean, whatever you need to tell, but I've got this medical situation and I'm going to need your help. People will step up. And, and they need that opportunity. They want that opportunity. And it kind of goes back to, if you didn't trust them during COVID, if they're like, nah, not going to help, maybe you don't need them to be working with you or for you. But yeah, people will help in whatever way. They just need to be given that opportunity.
Yeah. I think, again, my first 20 years in business, I accepted zero help.
Well, you're a Marine.
Anybody.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, please, let's do it twice as long, twice as hard.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. It's good. So, but now when I look at it, and that's why this interests me so much, when I work with teams and I build my own, like when you're able to, and it's not like, hey, we're hanging out all the time and doing this, but I'm saying like that ability to help each other, to pick up that slack for each other. Like when that's part of your company culture, when you build it that way, it's like anything that you have to deal with gets handled in the business, right? Because listen, I know it's my business, but if I have 25 people working for me, I have 25 families I'm supporting. I'm air quoting.
Right.
Like, and if they can pick up that slack during my downtime, right, everything keeps running. And if we built it that way, they already know how to win and complete what they do. And if you build it like that, it's like, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Right.
You can do that kind of stuff. And I just think it's important for people to kind of get that. Like you said, we don't want to ask for help. We want to do that. I get all that. We're very ego driven as entrepreneurs. Okay.
And nobody can do it the right way because my way is the only way.
Yeah. That's my favorite lie.
I'm as type A as they get.
Right. So we all just look at me. Yeah, that's a lie. Okay. I had a guy today, matter of fact, he's like, I've kind of gotten a hole. I'm going to pause, coach. I'm like, okay, so let's see. Coach, you put yourself in a hole and now you want to get yourself out. You got yourself in it.
Right.
We're going to not get in it, but now you want to do it yourself down the hole and try to get out. Like,
somebody can throw you a rope, a ladder, or whatever.
Do you hear yourself? I'm like, do you hear yourself? Like, why don't you have someone help you and get out of the hole very quickly?
Right.
And get back to business. How about that? Because you're just going to be down there thinking, how do I get out of the hole? While you're still digging a hole.
Right.
So that's where you'll be at.
Right. And I love the name of your podcast because I'm very much that. Now, I am not a Marine. No. But it very much that warrior mentality, right? It even says so on my arm. And part of that is because someone initially, when I was diagnosed, sent me a thing and it says, fate says to the warrior, You cannot withstand the storm. And the warrior responds, I am the storm.
Right.
But the thing about warriors, we don't do it alone. We have to have our tribe. And it's the same with a business, right? It's exactly what we've been saying. You have to have that team of people who are going to help you be a successful business, successfully get through cancer, whatever it is. We should not be that lone wolf.
Yeah, for sure. That it just, here's the problem with that. Like it boosts our ego, makes us feel like we're the big accomplisher.
Right.
But you know what? It's slow. What's the Chinese proverb is you can go faster alone, but you go further together. Like
Right.
you got to understand, like you can compress so much more time if you're able to delegate properly, create systems, process, get everyone working toward the same vision. You just watch everything go, and it's not, you're not pulling everyone.
Right.
Right. They're all going. You're like, you're in the chariot being pulled. Okay.
Yeah. And we like to think we know it all, right? Yeah, that's definitely my problem. But we don't. I mean, like I get an email earlier today from my accountant. Hey, here's some new tax things you need to be considering. Cool. She's on top of it. I don't have to look at it. And so do I know these things are happening in the world? Yes. I'm not an ostrich, but I don't need to know it. I mean, I tell people I don't need to know how to change the oil in my pickup. I certainly don't need to know how to do surgery on myself. All of these various things. That's why we hire experts. So why are we not hiring experts in our businesses?
Yeah, exactly. And I get people give, I mean, you and I have probably heard every excuse there is why they don't.
Or said them.
Yes. And none are valid. Okay. None are valid. But even I tell people, listen, you might be in the beginning stages of your business. You get the proverbial mentor.
Right.
Mentors are free. You take them to lunch once a month or something. You do that. You pick their brain for an hour, then you leave them alone. Okay.
Yes. Because you're not paying them.
Exactly. So, but you have to start with that because that insight is what's going to keep you going. It's what's going to compress time. Use others' experience to compress time. Asking the questions and when you get to level like, hey, I can get a coach. And remember, there's coaches at all levels.
Right.
Football, there isn't one coach from grade school to the pros. There's all different levels you can play at. So you just start at your level. You get the coach appropriate. Right. And let them accelerate your growth.
Right. And everybody needs a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach. Tiger Woods has a coach. Oh, actually, they have multiple coaches, right? But yeah, I mean, I'm a big college football fan. University of Colorado, right? So we've got a heck of a coach, right? We've got the shiny prime coach. But everybody he brings under him is absolutely fascinating because of what their skill sets are. And he is very good at stepping back. He's like, you were brought in to do this, you go do this. Now, he will step in if he thinks he needs to, which is what a good, leader will do. But you let them do what they need to be doing. Yeah,
it's that you got to let the rope out. Right. You got to put slack in that so they can do it. And to me, when I do that, I think great leaders build other leaders. That's the goal of a leader is to build other leaders. And that's what he's doing.
Right.
But then you give them and you kind of get that high view, watch. It's good. Not exactly what I would do.
Right.
I used to do this example with my guys when I had my water feature business. So we dig holes and make beautiful ponds and waterfalls and everything. And I remember when the guys finally, they kind of got it. I'm leaving them alone. They're building their thing. I'm like, we're humming along pretty good. And I come in one day and I kind of jump in a hole, start helping them. And they go, we don't do that right now. We don't do that right now. I go, oh, okay. So I started doing something else. And they go, yeah, we don't do that now either. And I'm like, I'm looking around like, you want me to go get lunch? They go, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll give you our order.
Some food. And it was just, I'm like, I love that.
Right.
I happily bought lunch because they just had created the system. They knew what they're doing. And they were really better than I was. Yeah, I'm the artist. I would put that rock like this. Who cares? The homeowner knows no difference.
Right.
They come out and they go, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Oh my God. Right. And the cool thing is your employees knew that they could tell you, go get us lunch.
That's right. Got because it's just, and it was a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
And it's like when people are too in it,
Mhm.
in their business, the micromanage
Mhm.
stuff like that, they never get to experience that joy.
Right. Mhm.
Because mine happened one day. I couldn't be there all day, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, you guys got to do this.
Mhm.
Got to get it. So here, do
Mhm.
this. Okay, I'll see you. I
Mhm.
come at the end of the day, and as I'm walking in the
Mhm.
backyard, the homeowner comes out and everything's done, it's running.
Mhm.
She's, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And I just looked at my guys and her, and I went, I'm free.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Right.
free. Like you,
Right.
you don't need me. This is
Mhm.
great.
Mhm.
It was such a good day.
Mhm.
It just continued that way.
Right. Right. Yeah, I was talking to someone on my podcast one time, and he has a large business in Texas, many thousands of employees. And he said he knew his business was successful when he went on vacation for 2 weeks and not a single person contacted him.
Yep.
Now, is that a hit to your ego? Maybe, right? And that's the tricky thing. But your ego should be saying, "Excuse me, you hired great people. You've done good."
That's right. Yep. You got to understand, like, that is what most people can't do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That should be a huge ego
Mm-hmm.
boost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, man, I did that because that's
Yeah.
the guy I was talking about earlier who's got the
Mm-hmm.
car, got the house,
Mm-hmm.
golfing. That
Right.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And guess what? If you talk to him, he doesn't have an ego.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I do a thing
Mm-hmm.
now, Deb, as I get a new client, I have a little really cool wooden box
Mm-hmm.
hinged, you can open it,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a little brass plate on the front and it says my ego.
Ah.
And I'm like, lock it in there,
Mm-hmm.
put it on your shelf
Mm-hmm.
so you can look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So you know it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's in that box and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't come out.
Mm-hmm.
It just stays there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go about business.
Mm-hmm.
We just leave
Right.
that thing locked up. And
Right.
it's just a great metaphor, if you
Mm-hmm.
will, but just
Mm-hmm.
having that, because mine, I was only ego driven.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Right.
about the next great
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, I always warn people that level of ego,
Mm-hmm.
okay, of I have to do everything, will cause you to make a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of bad decisions.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
Because you're trying to prop yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
You're
And you're
not,
in the weeds.
that's it. You're in the
Mm-hmm.
weeds and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be
Mm-hmm.
real. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's enough
Right.
about me. Let's talk about me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's that whole
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people should, I always tell people, like, if you have the great business
Mm-hmm.
and you run, it comes time to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how the sales should go. You know, I've done this for 10 years. I
Mm-hmm.
want $10 million. Great. Someone wants to buy, we negotiate. Maybe I get to 10, maybe I get
Mm-hmm.
10.5, but I get a check. We shake hands. I'm out there in, no one knows the business sold.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's the business you want to
Mhm.
build.
Mm-hmm.
That, and even if
Mhm.
you don't sell it,
Mhm.
you want to be the guy that
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter. You know,
Mhm.
like you're there, you're strictly the conductor.
Yep.
You play no instruments.
Mm-hmm.
You just work the baton. You have 93
Mm-hmm.
people in the orchestra and they
Mhm.
all make beautiful music.
Mhm.
You just bring it together, tell them a little loud, a little softer. That's where you need to be. That's the
Right.
the picture you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And understand he
Mhm.
comes up last, right? The
Mhm.
conductor walks in last.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Right.
the only person anyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's the only one
Yep.
not first, second, third chair
Mhm.
violin,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not even the guy on percussion. No one knows
Mhm.
them.
No.
But without them,
Without
There-
them,
there's
there's
no
something
orchestra.
missing.
there's
Yep.
no music,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
it's a beautiful picture. I
Mhm.
really like, because I'm a big fan of the
Oh, I
symphony.
like that metaphor. That's
but-
very
but-
cool.
But really,
Mhm.
if you think about that's your
Mhm.
position,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, wow. So it's
Mhm.
always about who you're putting in the
Mhm.
seats,
Right.
as they say, right?
Mhm.
And just creating that business where people
Mhm.
can thrive
Mhm.
in their business, you know.
Right.
And I think that's what takes a lot of that anxiety off
Mhm.
you as an owner, right?
Mhm. Right. Yeah. And part of it too is knowing, okay, if something happens, the world won't come to an end. When I was really, really sick, it was like, is my business going to even continue? Well, I'll deal with that at some other point. And I think that's the thing, is we get so caught up in this baby that is our business.
Mhm.
We give birth to it. We, all these
Yep.
various things. But you have six baby. Now, you did not give birth to them, but
No, I did
you
not.
have, you have six that I don't know their ages, but at some point they're all going off out into the world. Right. But I tell people I'm an only child. I don't share well, and I was raised that the world revolved around me.
Right.
And it's funny because my husband's one of 9, so as opposite as could be, right? but yeah, you want your kids to go off and be successful on their own. You're always there if needed, but they're off doing their own thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think what happens is a lot of times we don't really understand the harmony of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like again, we just going back to like when people are able to win daily, and I'll say this often, I said, when you build your systems or a process, whatever you're doing in your business,
Mm-hmm.
every single individual on the team needs to know how to win,
Mm-hmm.
what's success look like
Right.
on
Mm-hmm.
the day, the week, the month, the
Mm-hmm.
quarter, the
Mm-hmm.
year. Like so I told people, just picture this, like you've done that for every position, 5,
Mm-hmm.
10, 50,
Mm-hmm.
5,000. I said, don't you think they're going to kind of want to come to work?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
they get to come and win every day.
Mm-hmm.
Regular life, you don't get to do that.
Right. Right.
It's
And when
like,
we screw up, whoops, right?
yep, yep.
And then we learn from that.
That's right. That's right. And that's the whole thing. And it is, again, when you build out a system process, when you build like these guys are running the business, the corrections come differently.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. They're more tweaks than they are hard left turns.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, nope, hey, we're doing
Mm-hmm.
good. We're getting a little off here. Let me show you, get you back on track, and boom, they're off and running again.
Right.
They don't make those mistakes again. So I think, again, back to the thing about the ego and the owner, that when you assume this position, that's really what your role is. And you were right when you said earlier, we're always the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the owner is. It's just, that's sorry, man. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I just tell people we're the biggest stumbling block. Now, in the beginning, we can get out and fix a lot of little problems on the floor, what I'm doing, but eventually I'm going to get to you, Mr. and Mrs. Owner. Okay, I'm coming.
Right.
And we're going to fix it so we're totally set, right? But you got to start somewhere. And it's just the sooner you can realize that, again, it goes back to the same thing as understanding you need to have some coaching, some experts in your life that can help you go along. It's the same principle. Once you grab a hold of that, you'll see everything change. And I'm sure you've seen that probably more than me.
Yeah. And I have several coaches. I'm in several mastermind groups because that's where I kind of get my mentoring, things like that. Now the cool thing, I mean, with technology, right? We meet on Zoom. Who goes in person anymore? Well, I'd have to put shoes on. But yeah, we can find those people to support us. And then what happens is pretty soon somebody asks us to be that mentor, that coach, and things like that. And that's where it's cool because then you get to give back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I tell people, like, my greatest joy in coaching, okay, is creating the freedom for these business owners to do what we do, like literally like save their families.
Right.
I tell people businesses destroy families.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. And it's just like when you can make that shift, like you said, they're on the beach, they're never on the phone. They got all 5 kids with them. They're having a great time, totally present with each other. Like, that's the biggest win you can get.
Right.
More than money, anything else. It's just, that is like, those are the testimonials I want. Was able to do, the business is triple in profit and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Okay, that's cool. Don't get me wrong. That's important.
Yeah, because the triple in profit is why you get to go be on the beach.
Exactly. So all that stuff's a factor, but man, when you can, when you see their lives change, on all aspects, right? That's the achievement we all want. I think we all have that innately when we start a business. That's kind of our goal.
Right.
It quickly dissipates into I'm a slave to my business, all for my family. So you kind of get confused with I'm totally dedicated so that my family, you're like, no. Like I said, real fine line there, but you usually go the wrong way.
Right. Yeah. One of the things I discovered long ago was there are these things called boundaries. And I set them up with my clients, which was really scary, right? Because I was in essence telling them no. And what I tell them, and I still do, is these are my office hours. Now that gets a little weird because we're virtual and they're in different time zones and all sorts of, but anyhow, these are, predominantly when I do business. I know that there are emergencies. Things come up, evenings, weekends, holidays. It is your choice, Mr. Client, Miss Client. If you think that it needs me and needs my attention, that's great, but it will cost you double. and they almost always discover it can wait.
Right.
But I had people who said, but you're home, you should be able to work 24/7. And we do, right? That's one of the big mistakes that we make when we first set up our business. We're responding to emails at 2 o'clock in the morning and Christmas Day. No, you can push back, and obviously it depends on what you're doing, but you can say, no, these are my boundaries. And then the important thing is to keep them, right? So if you tell people don't email me after 5, then you don't be doing something at 9 o'clock at night.
Exactly. I think what I had to, I adapted all that as well, because boundaries, everybody needs them. I mean, if you've built the proper business, everyone's got boundaries. They all have a lane. They all have, they know where what they can and can't
stay
do.
in it.
Yeah, the expectations, right? So I discovered a couple of years ago the Voxer app. It's a walkie-talkie app.
Yes.
That is that's amazing for me and my clients. I said, here, you got this. I will we're business hours, Monday through Friday.
Right.
I will answer same business day. Okay. But you get the little chirp. You know it's coming and you go, business, not a text. So there's a different designation. Okay. I'm not jumping on. Look, I'll be on a call again. Okay. Take a look. Listen, it's recorded or is it? And I'm like, listen to a 30-second thing. And this is how I explain to people. This is why it's so amazing and why I have it and not just relying on email or a phone call once a week. I said, so they go, John calls me and he says, Richard, I'm thinking about doing this. I've got this opportunity and I want to do this, this, and this. What do you think? And he lets go, right?
Right.
What's that, 15 seconds? Well, I listen to that an hour later and I go, John, yeah, that sounds like a cool opportunity. But what I'm thinking is if you do that, this is going to happen in this. And that's going to take you from this. So that's probably not the best idea. And I let go. And he says, oh, yeah, you're right. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah.
30 seconds and you're done.
Right. Right. And it's stream of thought.
Yeah. Exactly.
When we have to stop. And even if we're just texting, hey, all the weird text things that people do, the stream of thought is going to be quicker for the most part than we can type. But the important thing that you're mentioning is having that person to bounce stuff off of.
That's it. It's critical. It's critical. It's like, and we all need that. Right. Because you got to just, and those, like I said, with Voxer, that's what it's used for. It's seldom a, catastrophe or anything like that. It's like, we're entrepreneurs. We're thinking all the time and we're coming up with these ideas. I'm like, just dump it. Dump that idea on Voxer to me. Then get back to work.
Right. And so you've pulled it out of your brain. You can stop thinking about it.
Exactly. So it's like this little pressure valve release, right? It's really cool. So that has been, and my clients love it. So like, it's because none of us want to like call and talk. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. What are you doing this weekend? It's like, we don't need any of that.
Yeah. We need the 15 seconds.
Yeah. I get building rapport and we'll spend a couple minutes on our weekly call, but that's business. That's so things can keep moving. And it really changes the pace of everything.
Yes. Yeah. Because we never, now, it is different if we're texting, messaging, whatever, but we never call and are that short, right? Because that's rude or, I mean, we're at least going to say, hey, Richard, how you doing? And then you're going to say, oh, fabulous, right? And pretty soon we forgot why we called. But yeah, I mean, that is one of the cool things about Voxer is, it's like, think about this, must get it out of my head, done.
Yep, it's good. It saves it. I have one son, one of my sons. He's 19, going to be 20. He is. I give him a hard time about communicating because you'll be talking like if you're on the phone, and he just hangs up because he's done. There's no goodbye. There's no anything, right?
You're like,
I was talking to one of his friends. He goes, we're playing a video game, and he's done. He just leaves. There's no goodbye. He just hangs up, So, and he is. I'm like, you need to. Well, you'll figure it out. But he'll answer with okay or yes, no explanation. I'm like, I appreciate it though. I'm like, once you understand that's how he communicates, I go, this is kind of nice. I don't feel like I need to drag on a conversation.
And if it's a longer conversation, it's alerting you really need to pay attention.
Right, exactly. So, but so everyone's got their way, and as we work through business, and I think as coaches, Deb, we're in a position of authority. Okay, let's be real, we are, but we also have to set an example. We have to do what we coach. Shocking, I know.
I know.
but it
Ha.
doesn't always happen. It doesn't
Mhm.
always happen. I've seen it,
Mhm.
but we
I
need
know.
to,
Think of the football coach that weighs 300 pounds.
right.
Mm.
Yeah. 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 Or the cross country coach that weighs 300 pounds
Yes.
and
Yeah.
all your
Because you
runners
might
weigh
have a
140.
linebacker as your football coach, right? So,
Right. Right. So,
but yeah, the
what?
cross country, he should be lean and mean. Mhm.
Right. But you're looking at that like, okay, well, I have to have this example of the
Mhm.
way I operate.
Mhm.
Right. So these
Mhm.
things like a Voxer and this and
Mhm.
that, and these
Right.
procedural
Mhm.
things that we
Mhm.
do, it's not, I'm not mistreating an
Mhm.
owner. It's
Mhm.
not a lack of respect. It's literal
Mhm.
coaching and teaching.
Right.
Dude,
Mhm.
you can implement this stuff,
Mhm.
and this is what you're missing
Mhm.
because you're
Right.
letting other people
Mhm.
dictate your schedule.
Mhm.
You're not in
Mhm.
control of your time,
Mhm.
and that's a
Mhm.
big one. That you
Right.
run into that.
Mhm.
I run into it
Mhm. Oh yeah.
all the time.
Mhm.
That's a biggie because
Mhm.
they have that
Mhm.
need to do
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm. Right.
So that
And to be in charge and in control.
yeah,
And
it's a
that's the
tough
thing.
one.
When you're told you've got cancer, control just went kapoof. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Well, what was that like then? When you have to go when if you're used to being
Mhm.
that way, you're running your
Mhm.
business, doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you have this. Is it because obviously I haven't been through it, but
Mhm.
is it like an overwhelming helplessness?
There's a whole bunch of different emotions. And one of the things I tell people is you need to remember whatever you're feeling is okay, whether grief, anger, guilt, whatever it is, it's okay. But ultimately, you're the one in charge, not the person in the white coat, not your
Mhm.
spouse. I mean, my husband all along, when I would say, here's what I'm going to do. Okay, what do I need to do to help you? And so, but yeah, there's all these weird emotions that go through your head, and and we try and push them back, right? We don't want to deal with those, and then that's where we end up with other issues. And so yeah, it's okay to feel all of those and to feel good and funny about some of this too. I mean,
Yeah.
I tell people I've gotten through much of this with a sense of humor, right? Really big surprise. um and so like when I go in and they say, now what's your name and date of birth, and I'm in a doctor usually once a week. And now I don't do this with new people because it would freak them out. But what's your name and date of birth? And I look at them and I smile sweetly and I say Anastasia Beaverhausen. And in the infusion room, because I am still in active treatment, I go in every 21 days. They've decided it's Princess Anastasia Beaverhausen. And you have to have fun with this. I mean, my scars have scars have scars.
Right. Right.
And but there are days where I wake up and think, nope, going back to bed. No, just not going to happen. And so it's it, I think what we do is we have to figure out where we can have control and have control there, and then realize, okay, in some cases, I'm not going to have control, and we're just going to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you there. I think that's a good general rule for life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you really have to, it's all about, as they say, how you react to things. You can't
Mm-hmm.
control everything
Mm-hmm.
being thrown at you. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell that to my kids sometime if they
Mm-hmm.
think I'm so busy. I'm like, you're so busy, but you have to remember, just because someone throws you the ball, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
catch it.
Right. You can
Like,
duck. You can.
like go, yeah, and that's what a lot of owners do. They're
Mm-hmm.
catching everything,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and they're feeling they got to
Mm-hmm.
solve all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and it gets hectic, and
Mm-hmm.
it burnout. Yeah, they get to that and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
get it, but really, it just becomes just this unbearable burden.
Mm-hmm.
Where they'll end up selling
Right.
the company
Mm-hmm.
prematurely
Right. Or it
because they want
crashes
to
and
get out.
burns.
Exactly. So you
Mm-hmm.
got a number of things that could happen
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't. Well, I'll air quote do it right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Taking on too much,
And
and we
that's where they
all.
need a coach like you.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's true, Deb. It's very
Mm-hmm.
true. Well said. Uh,
And you know what? It's okay to brag on ourselves.
it is. I'm quite incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is that it's that ability. But to your point right there,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be coachable.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
have to be trainable,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I said. I have learned. I kind of go kind of a
Mm-hmm.
different direction. I go and I fix some smaller problems,
Mm-hmm.
and then we swing back around to the owner.
Okay.
Because I'll go and do what I call a mini project. I'll
Mm-hmm.
go, well, what's the issue you got right now?
Mm-hmm.
What's the top three pressing things?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll take that one. I'll fix it.
Mm-hmm.
This much, I have it done in 30 days.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
Okay, good. And then we'll talk again.
Mhm.
I come in, fix it, and they go, oh,
Mhm.
that's amazing. Okay, well, let's
Right.
go to the second one
Mhm.
because they're the fourth one. I'm going to do these three that he gave me. He's
Mhm.
number four or she's number
Mhm.
four. I said,
Mhm.
we're getting to you, but I'm just going to work my way up so I have that
Mhm.
trust factor, that
Mhm.
confidence in
Right.
my
Mhm.
abilities. And then say, I've noticed. And
Mhm.
then you start that thing, And
Mhm.
again, it's not like I'm some secret therapist or something. I'm just saying that there gets a point you got to fix some
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
Okay. The
Right.
car's got to run.
Mhm.
Okay. Before you work on the drive.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. It doesn't matter
Right.
if the
Yeah.
car's just sitting there.
It's not going to matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not getting out of the driveway,
That's right.
you could be the world's best driver, but
That's right. You're
really?
gonna look kind of funny, just
Mhm.
making the engine noise,
Mhm.
as you're
Mhm.
sitting there shaking the steering wheel.
Like we used to
So
do as
yeah,
kids, right?
exactly. Just making the noises. So that's not gonna they're not gonna pay you a lot for that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so it's been really great just kind of dissecting all this,
Oh, yes. Mhm.
because I think people don't. It's hard for owners, especially Deb, and you've probably seen this a lot, is to really get up to the 10,000-foot view
Mhm. Right.
and see what's really going on again.
Mhm.
But what's the problem with being at the 10,000-foot view?
Mhm.
You're up there.
Mhm. Right.
So you're
Mhm.
looking down, you don't
Mhm.
actually see that, you
Mhm.
don't see you like screwing things
Mhm.
up. You kind
Mhm.
of, you're up there and everyone
Mhm.
else is doing, you're going to see all the other faults. But
Mhm.
I'm just saying that you have to get
Mhm.
up to those viewpoints
Yes.
so
Mhm.
you can really look at a bigger,
Mhm.
more strategic
Mhm.
picture,
Mhm.
instead of being all tactical all
Mhm.
the time and every
Mhm.
day. So it's really important that
Mhm.
people really kind of grasp that,
Mhm.
even if they don't know what it looks like,
Mhm.
to get that in your head and start
Mhm.
to be aware, like,
Mhm.
oh, I guess I don't really think strategically. I just put the
Right.
fire out
Mhm.
and I don't fix why it started.
Mhm.
And that's one of the key things. If
Mhm.
you can do it in those terms,
Mhm.
whatever that, and that
Mhm.
that fire can be an illness,
Mhm.
right? Like, okay,
Mhm.
so on that, before we wrap up and
Mhm.
everything here, let's talk about contingency in
Mhm.
business, right?
Right.
Because you
Mhm.
take what happened to
Mhm.
you. I've
Mhm.
had all my stuff too.
Mhm.
Like, what do you know many business owners? This is kind of a random question, but
Mhm.
that actually have a contingency
Oh no,
plan.
they don't.
Okay.
Um,
I just wanted
and
confirmation.
yeah, I mean, and it's some of it is simple and basic, and I work with people to do business contingency plans. Now they don't give them to me because it's got their lawyer's information, it's got
Right,
all of
right,
that
right,
stuff,
right,
but it is thinking about the what happens if.
right.
And so, and some things are just as simple as, I was talking with somebody and I said, who else can sign your checks? And he said, just me. And I said, so when you can't sign checks, what's going to happen? And he said, oh.
Probate.
And yeah, and I said, you need somebody else that can sign the checks for you. And depending on what you're doing, it might be okay, they can sign checks up to $5,000 or whatever. I mean, it's going to vary by thing, but be thinking about that. Think about it really is the what happens if I am unable to do this, what is going to happen, and to put it in a document where a trusted few people can see it. And some of that contingency planning is also going to be key man life insurance. Do
Mhm.
you need that? Do you not? Who can sell your company? All of these various things that, again, we don't like to think about, but we really should be. No matter what, we should have these things. And even if it really is just simple things like, who the heck has your passwords?
Right.
Right.
And this is regardless of your age.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And I
yes.
say that because when you're 23,
Mm-hmm.
you think a lot different than when you're
Mm-hmm.
53
Right.
or
Right.
63.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Well, and just simply, like I mentioned, passwords, because I was very, very ill. Like we mentioned, I was in and out of ICU. And now my husband made most of the money, but I spent most of the money, right? I paid the bills. And it was all on my computer and everything was password, right? Because it's all,
right.
but my computer was password protected. He couldn't even get into my computer to be paying the bills. And so we remedied that. We've got several different places where all of that can be. But yeah, just think about things like that for your personal and for your business. Do people in your company know, do you own the physical premise, or do
Mhm.
you rent? And if you rent, who are you paying?
Right.
Just things
Right.
like, and that comes back to, again, like we were saying, somebody wants to go on vacation. Somebody else better be able to do some of those things.
Yeah, it's a lot of planning. It's not there's nothing fun or
No.
glamorous about it at all, but it's like any kind of insurance. It's all transfer of risk.
Right.
Because like you said, who can sell the business? When can it be sold? Who
Right.
can do this? Who's going to step in this position? What's the time frames? Who is my lawyer?
Right. And you probably have multiple lawyers. You probably have a business lawyer, and while you're at it, folks, and I always hate to bring this up, wills, powers of attorney, all of that stuff. You know what? You can do those online. They're pretty basic anymore, but have those, because you never know when something might happen. And for those of you who are parents and business owners, you absolutely have to have those things. You need to make sure that you're taking care of everybody else.
Yeah, it's really important. It's, again, not the funnest thing, but need to do it. It's a responsibility.
Right.
That's the best word for it. Like, that's your thing.
You're a grown up.
Because if, God forbid something does happen, you check out, you're out, they're left with nothing. They're just, way to go, Dad. Way to go, Mom.
Right.
Like you didn't, but everything's good when it's good till it's not. And then you got that. So I just wanted to kind of hit that, because I was thinking that earlier, and I just wanted to hit that because I think it's a real critical aspect of business that is often overlooked.
Right. And whether it's just you or thousands of people, you need to have that continuity planning. And actually it might even be more important if it's just you, because somebody needs to do something. Even if it's just, hey, I'm going to call all of Richard's clients and tell him that he's unavailable for a while.
Right. Yeah. It's really an important thing, and it's just, these are when I often encourage my clients. So you take a weekend and you go out and we do a couple of things. Like, you just need to go work on vision.
Oh, yes.
Just go sit and just dream a bit. Like, where are we really going? What are we doing? What might be the next thing? And I know it's not tomorrow, but it's like, you got to take time once a quarter, something like that, do that, or do this. Like, I'm going to go and we're just going to work on this stuff. And it might be a Friday, or it might be a Tuesday, or whatever. Like, we're going to spend the day. I'm not going to be working on that. I'm going to have an attorney with me. I'm going to do this, or we're just going to do our forms online. And me and my spouse, we're going to hit this, knock this out, add the kids, whatever. Like, you can always change it, do everything else later, upgrade it, and all that. But now it's done, and it's in the right place, and it's accessible. And, these are like, they should be, business 101 things, but they're not. Well, I wrote a whole book on business 101 things that no one does. Okay. The whole thing's like, now, if you just do these, you'll kind of do really well, but you don't do them. Right. So we just want to remind people to do those things. And that's awesome. So any final words for us, Deb? I mean, you've been an incredible guest, great story. You've overcome so much stuff, and you're out there helping people. So thank you.
Again, thank you so much. This has been a great honor. We've had what I think is a great discussion. I just want to remind people, you have to be your own advocate, whether it's with your doctor, your business partner, whatever it is, you are your own advocate. And if for some reason you can't be, then you need to have someone who knows what your wishes are.
Yeah, that's great. And it's very aligned with the entrepreneurial mindset. Okay.
Right.
You can still be in charge. Okay. Of your stuff. You know what I mean? Take wise counsel, but be the final arbiter.
Right.
Be the final one who's going to lay down what's going to happen and go with it. So I love that. Deb, how can people get in touch with you, follow you? You know the drill.
Great. Well, the easy way is my website is tryingnottotodie.live. We do have a private Facebook group, and everybody is welcome to join that. I keep it private just to keep out those who are going to cure us. Right. But yeah, welcome anybody. And we have fun. I mean, I have somebody who once a week posts jokes. I mean, all sorts of things. So, a lot of inspiration, things like that there. I'm on LinkedIn. You can easily find me. There's like 3 Deb Kriers in the world. So, just Google my name, and I am the crazy redhead.
Awesome. Well, that is fantastic. And again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Just talking to the audience. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for tuning in to Sharpen the Spear podcast. If today's episode helped you think sharper, act smarter, or see new profit potential, do me a favor. Share it with a fellow home service owner and leave a quick review. Ready to find the profit hiding in your business? Head to sharpenthespearcoaching.com and book your free profit discovery call today. And until next time, keep sharpening.